Welcome back to episode 39 of the ATD Baseball Podcast. Myself and Kyle today. We got like 3 weeks left in the regular season. It's kind of crazy how I don't know if you felt this way, Matt, but this baseball season to me has been flying. I can't believe we're less than 3 weeks away from getting to postseason play.
Yeah, I'm with you on that for sure. Different circumstances for me, and I feel like that's why it's flying just a little bit more. I'm already looking forward to 2024, man. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna enjoy this October and this postseason, seeing these teams battle it out. But it's
And
different when you
Matt
know,
and I
dude.
sweat it out.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna be sitting over here just waiting for spring training to start, and while you guys are on the edge of your couches and enjoying how damn good your teams are, and then yeah. So for me, it's a little bit different. I have a different taste in my mouth this year. Um, so like I said, I'm just waiting it out, man. I mean, that's all I really can do.
Yeah, yeah, nothing wrong with that. Topics for today. Braves become the first team to clinch the division. They clinched the playoff spot a couple days ago, and then they clinched the division 2 nights. And then we'll touch upon what Rob Thompson had to say about Ronald Acuna Jr. And we have some thoughts about that. And then we're gonna do Chaim Bloom got let go by the Red Sox earlier in the week, and that was kind of surprising. Maybe not if you're Red Sox fans. Maybe you've been calling for his head for a while. I don't know. And then Padres. Obviously, they're not going to be part of the dance this year. And there was an article that came out today on Bleacher Report saying how, yeah, there's a lot of problems in that locker room. So, I mean, I think anybody who you don't have to be a genius or you don't have to be in the Padres locker room day in, day out to know that there was issues there. Even if the players are not going to come out and admit it, you can tell that there's problems in that organization, but we'll touch at that at the end. And I think that's everything, right? I think that's all we're doing today.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll just start off from the top. Um, Congratulations to the Braves. Yay. They become the first team to clinch a playoff spot, and then they clinch the division in Philadelphia. And as the boos came down, as the Braves celebrated on the Phillies field, and listen, I know, I don't know, I don't think Matt was doing this or saying this, but there was a lot of salty Phillies fans not happy that the Braves were celebrating on their field. And then I saw all the replies, oh, well, look at what happened the last time these two teams played against each other when it really mattered. Phillies were celebrating and everything. I was like, well, all right, whatever. Like, I don't, like I said, I don't think Matt's that type of fan, but I completely be dead wrong. And he's thinking that to himself, but I think he's better than that. Rob Thompson had some things to say about Ronald Acuna Jr. Um, Let me see if I can get the exact quote up here real quick. Should have had this ready. That's my fault. Um, there we go. I mean, it's really just simple as he's just basically said, act like you've been there before. Kyle, you got your thoughts on it? Go for it.
Yeah, so for me, I think it's a little too early to be saying that. Look, I like the Philly Cinderella story last year. I do. I bought into it. We touched on it a little bit before we started recording. Reese Hoskins, man, last year. His bat slam was my favorite part of the postseason last year. Dude, I was eating it up. Dude, I felt like I was a Phillies fan. I really did. In that moment when that happened and I was watching it, dude, just the amount of fans that just erupted from Citizens Bank Park was just unreal, man. I loved it. But you got to remember, you're not supposed to be there. You weren't going to be there if it wasn't for the extended wild card. MLB adding another team, the Phillies would have been out, man. So for me, I think it's just a little bit too early for the Phillies organization to be saying things like this. The Braves, man, they are that team. They look damn good, man. Yeah, I think this might be the best team I have personally ever watched play baseball. I mean, I went down to Atlanta to watch my Yankees get killed by them, and I was having fun with the Braves, man. I mean, just seeing them work on every single cylinder that they got, dude, that team is damn near perfect. I'm telling you. So the Braves have been there before. And once they clinched, man, I mean, Acuna was chirping back, and I was in for it. I loved it. I mean, you're not gonna get away saying something like that and then have the Braves clinch your division on your field and not expect anything back. So for me, I think the Phillies just they jumped the gun on that a little bit too quick. So I think you should just watch what you say because you know you're you're not at that top spot that the Braves have been every single season. I believe this is their sixth straight NL East title. So
Yep.
they got every right, man.
Yeah, and a lot of those years too, these so-called experts, and I'll put myself in that category too. I mean, not for getting it right, but saying that, oh, the Mets are going to win the division this year. This is the Phillies' year to win their division. Seems like a lot of these years, up until about this season, everybody was picking any other team to win the division.
I picked the Mets too, man. I was in that boat.
Yeah, and year after year, the Braves continue to show why it's kind of stupid to bet against them or say they're not going to be in first place at the end of the season. Um, yeah, this is one of probably, you know, it's hard because 2 years ago they won the World Series. Now, granted, we don't know how the season's going to end yet, but this team is better than that team. And they lost Freddie Freeman, and they've lost Dansby Swanson. They've lost guys, but they just keep retooling. And, they're going to win 100 plus games. And, you know, it's different for me as a Dodger fan because this Braves team's pretty damn good, and it is. But a part of you doesn't want to say it because it's like, damn, we might have to run into them in like 3 weeks or
Yeah.
in a couple weeks to get to a World Series. Um, Braves are so damn good, and yeah, Acuna deserves to, you know, chirp back a little bit. And like you said, I liked it. If you're gonna come at me, it's like I'm gonna perform. And I think one of the other, I think Tyler Matzey had his back too the other day. He was
Yeah.
in some Instagram chat, in some Instagram post responding back like, "Hey, like, get him out. If not, that he could do whatever he wants."
Yep.
And yeah, so a part of me kind of want doesn't, a part of me, Braves are a really good team, and they deserve it. Oh, it would be really funny if the Braves go to Philadelphia again and lose. I don't know why. I hate to be that guy because the Braves are a really good team and they got a lot of great players. But it would be really fun to see for the second year in a row the Phillies take out the Braves. I don't think that's going to happen this time, but I I would be kind of laughing at them.
I would be too. I'd be in that same boat. I live very close to Philadelphia, so I get to hear all the hype around this team and what they're about. I've said it myself, and I'll continue to say it. I think the Phillies have the best clubhouse in baseball, and that means something. I mean, we saw it last year, but I think this Braves team. I thought this Braves team last year was the best team I've ever seen, and it shocked the hell out of me when Philadelphia won. I think if they run into each other again this postseason, I think it's just going to be a little bit of a different tone. I don't know. I could be wrong. I've been wrong 1,000 times on this before. So I don't know, man. But I think that would be kind of funny. But I'm very interested to see if the Braves do win and move on by playing a game in Philadelphia. I want to see how this Braves team reacts. I really do. But we'll see. That's for October. But for right now, congrats to the Braves. They're a damn good team on all cylinders, no matter what. Um, yeah, man. All I gotta say is I'm glad I'm over here in the AL East. I mean, it's bad for me, this season. But yeah, man. I'm glad I don't got to run into that team for the next however many years that they're building this dynasty.
Yeah, and one more thing, and then we'll move on. I know you're so happy your team won the division. And I heard, I was seeing the post game stuff and everything. And I heard Brian Snicker tell Ronald Acuna Jr., I don't know if you saw it, uh, you're going to be in the World Series this time with us. Did we not learn anything from Dave Roberts last year? Did we not learn anything from that? Listen, my team didn't say it, so I'm perfectly okay with it. But Brian Snicker, don't, don't be careful with what you say
It's
because it might come back to bite you.
especially in this sport, man. Anything can happen. Like we saw last year with the Phillies. I mean, I'm going to keep bringing it up because that's exactly what that was. It was a Cinderella story, and we're going to be seeing that more and more throughout however many years that this game will continue to go on, and that's just what it's going to be, man. I mean, we're going to see baseball is so unpredictable. It is so hard to predict anything in baseball. So you're jumping the gun a little bit too much on that as well. I mean, Snicker's got to watch what he says and just go out there and perform. That's all his team needs to do.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be just fine.
Me too.
Yeah. Moving on. Big news out of Boston. A couple weeks ago, it really looked like the Red Sox were going to sneak in and get that last spot. It what didn't last very long. They ended up losing a couple games and falling back out of it, but Chaim Bloom let go by the Red Sox early in the week. Kyle, you got a much better grip on this than I do, just because you're on the East Coast and stuff. What are your thoughts as the Yankee fan, seeing your rival get rid of the president's of business operations?
Um, as a Yankee fan, I don't like it. Bloom's in there making bonehead moves every single season. I want him to continue to do that. But from a baseball standpoint, I think this is one of the best things this organization could have done. I mean, he has proved time and time again that he wasn't the guy, right? And I'm gonna give props to the Red Sox here, their front office. I mean, you are changing things when, I mean, they just won a World Series 5 years ago, and you brought in Bloom a year after, right? So just the fact that he's gone this quickly rings a bell for me personally, just because Brian Cashman's been with the Yankees longer than I've been alive. Kind of absolutely insane to say. That might change this offseason. Who knows? One can only hope. But anyway, I think this is a very good move for the Red Sox. I mean, he's proved, like I said, he's not the guy. And I like the sense of urgency, and I think the final nail in the coffin was Xander Bogaerts and how he handled that situation. Now, looking back at it, it wasn't a bad idea to move on from him, especially with how he's producing in San Diego. But and then you kind of win the fans back a little bit by extending Devers. I think that was a move you had to make, and I agree with that move. Um, but hey, props to the Red Sox. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. You know, I, I was thinking if that was going to happen, I thought it would be at the end of the season.
Yeah,
I mean, that's basically kind of the Red Sox saying they're kind of waving the white flag on this season with 3 weeks left to go.
yeah,
Yeah, if you're a team like a Yankee fan, you're not gonna like it because you just said it. You just hit it right on the head. This guy's been making bad decisions after bad decisions, and now that guy's out of the room.
yep.
And now they're gonna bring somebody else in who's probably gonna change it. And this was the big thing. The big complaints that I heard from Red Sox fans over the last 5 years since they've won that World Series. They just don't spend money.
No,
They haven't gone crazy with the money. And 2021 was one of those years where they got lucked out, where they didn't spend a ton of money. They got a couple guys, kind of like last chance kind of things, and they were 2 wins away from the World Series.
yep.
And I know a lot of fans were screaming at, Chaim Bloom and the Red Sox front office to say, hey, we were 2 wins away from getting to a World Series. Let's build off of this.
Mhm.
Let's bring back Kyle Schwarber. Let's see what kind of pitching we can get in the offseason. And they didn't do that.
Yep.
They let Kyle Schwarber walk. They let other guys walk, and they just didn't continue to build on it. And now he's paid the price, and I'm sure Red Sox fans are rejoicing. So.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right there. I mean, this club was very, very close to a World Series, and I was scared of the Red Sox there, especially because my thought is that you're 2 wins away from a World Series. You're going to build off of it, just like you said. You're going to re-sign Schwarber. You're going to add pitching because pitching is what kind of screwed them at the end of that ALCS. So you got a damn good team here. You run it back, and then you go add some pitching depth. That's exactly the opposite of what they did. So Bloom is now, like you said, paying the price, and I think it's the right move for them to part ways. So yeah, I mean, I think this Red Sox team has a lot to build off of. Casas, man, he's killing it right now, and I love watching him. As a baseball fan, I can't get enough of him. But in the last few years of the Bloom era, I mean, we saw a terrible Mookie Betts trade that kind of screwed him. Because now you got Verdugo out of it, pretty much. That's about
About
it.
it.
And he's nowhere near to Mookie Betts. So but then you turn around and you re-signed Devers. That's kind of where I would be a little salty as a Red Sox fan, because uh, all props to Devers, man. He's an amazing ball player. He kills my Yankees constantly. That's what you want. Um, but he's no Mookie Betts, man. I mean, you can attest to that. I mean, you're enjoying the hell out of Mookie out there. So, you know, crazy moves, and now you're gone. That's pretty much it. That's the moral of the story for Chaim Bloom era in Boston.
Yeah. So that's it with the Red Sox 2023. We'll see you next year. Lastly, I think this is pretty much our last topic. Uh, San Diego Padres. They're in the headlines again for not the good reasons that they wanted to. Listen, um, as a Dodger fan, I love the fact that the Padres completely did not have a good season this year. I thought they were talking way too much smack at their fan fest they had earlier this season. I think they came in way too cocky in 2023. The fans definitely were not helping either. They were riding the high too. And like I said from the beginning, beating the Dodgers last year in the division series was like them winning the World Series. Nothing else mattered after that, and it showed. They won one game against the Phillies in the next round, and they fizzled out in 5 games. Just goes to show you. But so, I'm very happy and I'm very, pleased that the baseball gods were able to balance things out a little bit and not reward San Diego with anything. And it just goes to show you that, winning, spending money doesn't buy you anything. It doesn't guarantee you anything, especially in this sport. But they came out with an article today basically saying that, yeah, there's problems. And Machado runs the show, which to me, that's not surprising. I always thought he was the leader of the team just because he's the older guy in the room and he's been there the longest. So he's been with San Diego when they were still not good. Before Fernando Tatis was a star, before they traded for Juan Soto, before they signed Xander Bogaerts in the offseason. He's been the guy.
Yeah.
He's kind of like Mr. San Diego over there now, this generation. But just what do you think happens with this Padres team? Because they got a lot of question marks going into 2024, into the offseason of 2023, I should say.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, man. I mean, it really is because, everybody knows on paper this team is the has question marks to be the best team in baseball. I mean, but that just has not translated at all. Machado, I'm definitely with you on that. I mean, he signed with San Diego when they still had the old jerseys, the white and
Gave
blue.
him a chance.
Yeah, and there was hope in San Diego for once, man. I mean, he's turned into this generation's Tony Gwynn, and it's nice to see that he is the leader out there. I think he embraced that role very well too, because as everybody knows, he was extremely hated for years. Once he went to San Diego, he kind of bought into, hey, I'm the leader of this team. This team's gonna come around me. The young guys are gonna look up to me and look for advice and look how to build this team into a World Series contender. And I think he's done a very, very good job at that. But no, man, I mean, it's tough to say because maybe it's just a fluke this season. Maybe these guys are just not performing very well. That could very well just change next season. But yet again, if it doesn't change, something's going to have to give. And you're running out of time with Soto. I mean, he's still extremely productive, but he's not what he was in Washington. So he hasn't been what they have completely wanted. So is there question marks saying like, hey, should we trade this guy? Snell is probably going to be gone next season. That pitching rotation to me is not stable enough to make it to a World Series. That lineup I think is, but the pitching kind of worries me a little bit. And if correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Hader is also a free agent
Yeah.
at the
Hader
end of
can
this
leave
year.
too this offseason.
Yeah, so there goes the back end of your bullpen, and there goes your ace. So you're gonna have to figure something out. And San Diego has proved that they're basically a printing press out there. Throwing. I mean, they missed out on Judge. They were that late team that kind of came in on him, and they missed out on Trey Turner. So is there something that's going on out there for these free agents not to want to sign there? But they're going to run out of money at some point. You're going to have to re-sign Soto, and then you're going to have to allocate money into your bullpen and into your starting rotation. So there is some big question marks. And personally, I don't know what they're going to do, but they got a situation out there, and I hope for Padres fans that they can figure it out and actually win some ball games. But it's not looking pretty right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, when stuff happens like this, they won't fire the players, they'll fire the manager.
Yeah,
So Bob Melvin, unfortunately, might be the fall guy in all this.
yeah,
Maybe not. I don't know. Like you just said, maybe this was a fluke year. Everybody wasn't performing right. They didn't mesh. Maybe next year they'll try to run it back again. But um, yeah, a lot of question marks. This can go so many different ways, and it's crazy how at the beginning of coming into this season, everybody said Padres were going to take over the Dodgers in this division,
hmm
and not even a full season has passed, and you're practically towards the bottom again
yeah. They're
very quickly.
they're basically all but mathematically out of it.
Yeah, I'm waiting for them to get mathematically eliminated, and I'll have something out for
Yeah,
those lovely Padre fans who thought that they were going to win it all this year.
yeah.
But
It's tough, man. And even the reports of the clubhouse chemistry, that doesn't look good at all. I mean, I
this is
believe,
the second time too we've heard
yeah,
about this. It's 2 years ago when they had a great first half and fizzled out and missed the playoffs. Tatis and Machado were in a shouting match.
yeah.
So this is not the first time.
I was just going to bring that up with Machado and Tatis. These guys are supposed to be the two superstars on this club who's supposed to lead them to the promised land. And you got them going back and forth in the dugout. And there's been multiple reports out that, this clubhouse is not meshing very well at all. And personally, do I think Bob Melvin should be getting the blame for all this? No, not at all.
No.
I think Bob Melvin is a damn good manager. He's gonna get picked up by another team very, very quickly if he is let go. Um, but I don't think he should be the fall guy. I there's just so many different ways that this team can go, and it's going to be extremely interesting to see what they do because they got basically four superstars on this team that one of them could very well be traded, if not more. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Interested to see what they do in the offseason. Kyle, you got anything else before we get out of here?
Don't think so. I'll keep saying this as long as I'm on here. Good luck to you and Matt this postseason.
Thank you. We
I
need it, especially myself.
let's go spring training. I'm extremely excited. We're most likely going to be down there for the Grapefruit League this season, so I'm excited for it. I get to see a brand new Yankees team, hopefully, starting 2024. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, Dodgers, get your pitching in order. We got 3 weeks left. I'm really beginning to get worried about this. Kershaw's supposed to pitch tomorrow, but who knows if he even makes that start. And if he doesn't look good, then oh my God, we might have a serious problem. But Dodgers are going to clinch the division probably the next time I come on this air, whether if it's Monday or whenever. But Dodgers will have the NL West crown again, and we'll definitely touch upon that. But
Yeah,
I think that's gonna do it for episode 39.
I think so.
We'll see you next week. Adios.
Later.